Okay, so the good chaps at Signature hit me up with this new sci-fi joint called Slingshot. It is being directed by Mikael Håfström. It is written by Nathan Parker and R. Scott Adams. The film, well, people, it is produced by Istvan Major, Richard Saperstein, Bo Turpin. It is executive produced by Brooklyn Weaver, Galen Walker, Andrew Velkoff, Wes Van Dyke, Catherine Ingram Thompson, Gino Taziali, Joanna Plavsky, Tom Nostrat, Sid Mukherjee, Jonathan Krauss, Holly Kobazina, Shara Kay, Denise Jobagi, Michael E. Hollingsworth, Yvette Havasi, Bella Hajnal, Rima Greer, Lawrence Freed, Matthew Dwyer, Ron Cundy, Bob Cooper, Nicolette Barabbas, Lee Ashner, David Amar, and, well, R. Scott Adams, along with Mikael Håfström. It is co-executive produced by Attila Fodor, Lily Kontrasky, and it is co-produced by Jay Trioff, Adam Marino, and Debbie Cooper. We've got Stefan Fum on music, Pa M. Ekberg taking care of cinematography, Richard Krantz edits the piece, Chelsea Ellis Blush, Anna Kennedy, and Marisol Roncalli handled the casting. Barry Kushid is production design. Art direction is Veronica Toldi and Zafia Taznadi. Henriette Nagy is set decoration, with Caroline Harris on costume design. Hair, makeup, Agustin Zumbor, David Sikar, Lily Obendufer, Andrea Cosma, and Nicolette Kureset. Right, the cast. John is played by Casey Affleck. Captain Franks is played by Laurence Fishburne. Nash is played by Toma Capone. John's girlfriend Zoe is played by Emily Beecham. We've got the head of NASA, Sam Napier, played by David Morrissey. Right, Gail is played by Charlotta Lovegren. Gordon, one of John's friends, played by Mark Ebolo. The voice of the ship is Nicolette Barabbas. The other candidates are Agota Dunay, Nahana James, and Frank Ivan Sasbo. Okie dokie. So the gist of the story: while traveling on board the spaceship Odyssey 1 to Titan, the astronaut John awakens from the 3-month hibernation cycle to perform tests on the systems. Together with him are Captain Franks and Nash. to test the system and communicate with Houston. The computer system warns that disorientation is normal after the hibernation, since the used drug has side effects. John forgets the last name of his girlfriend, Zoe Morgan, and when he sleeps again for the next cycle, he recalls how the leader of the mission, Sam Napier, introduced the engineer Zoe to him and how they became lovers. When John awakens again, a panel of the ceiling. Okay, I mean, that's just a whole... I mean, they printed basically a recap of the friggin' film. Ah, boy, oh boy. Okay, here's a shorter one. An elite trio. Oh, where are we? Okay. An elite trio of astronauts aboard a year-long, possibly compromised mission to Saturn's moon, Titan, gears up for a highly dangerous slingshot maneuver that will either catapult them to Titan or into deep space. Bum, bum, bum. So this is a psychological sci-fi film, right, with hints of horror, I guess. It's funny because Laurence Fishburne is in this, and he is in one of my favorite sci-fi films of all time, Event Horizon, right? Unfortunately, Slingshot is no Event Horizon. No. Now, as I say, it's like this psychological thing. So, right, you throw in these hibernation sleep cycles. The computer tells you, the drugs can lead to disorientation and hallucination, which you kind of think pick better drugs, right? Because would you really be giving your astronauts that, right? If you're on this long ass mission, you have to do several sleep cycles, and then you're going to give them drugs that could make them hallucinate, right? When anything that goes wrong, that's the end of the mission, that's the end of them. No, you're not giving people those fucking drugs. Also, right, there seemed to be no sort of safety harness in the chambers. So, like, you wake up, you're falling flat on your face. Like, that does not seem a logical thing, right? There's a lot of things that weren't necessarily logical. And I know what you're thinking. You're thinking, Kevin, it's a fucking sci-fi. What's wrong with you? There's not going to be logic here. Now, look, you can, separate yourself from reality, right? And the things that we know are norms on Earth. Norms of, how we live right now. When I say makes sense, I'm like, within this world, right? A safety harness, that's not out of the blue. That's not like, oh, come on. Why would they? No, that's a logical thing, right? There's logical things here that happen in this film. Like, there's a bit when John's looking at the ceiling and reaches up to it. No one's doing that. Even if you're off your head, you would still go to cover your face. Even if you're not moving out the way, you'd put your arms up, right? So it's like there's a lot of bangs to the head. We know what bangs to the head do. It's this crazy thing that still in movies we're showing head trauma, but then having the people get up and be able to walk around. Like, if you fall and hit, you're feeling fucking dizzy. Any sort of strike that you can feel dizzy, you can feel disorientated. You're not going to be able to run or fight or climb ladder. There's all manner of things. You know what I mean? So anyway, we're in the movie, right? So we're building, in flashbacks, we see John's relationship with Zoe. There doesn't really seem to be any sort of chemistry here, right? There's no chemistry. So that's all a bit. Now, we get so many things alluded to, right, in this film because, it's throwing you in a lot of different directions, making you think, what is the reality? So, there is a frame of thinking where the no chemistry could make sense, right? There is that little bit of an idea. I mean, obviously, we get this thing referenced at the very beginning, this innocuous thing. And any time, right, a film takes a chunk of time to just go over something that you're just like, okay, there's going to be a callback to that later in the film, right? And we do. But I will say, right, is this film is, it's a bit all over the place. A bit all over the place, right? We are, and I thought it could work, right? Where you don't know who is crazy, right? I thought that could work, but then it kind of moves away from that. We have this ship that it felt the whole ship design felt a little lazy, right? Just the bit with the screens, right? The bridge, it just felt like an IT room. It didn't feel like a spaceship. Even their uniforms looked more like velour tracksuits, right? It didn't feel quite right, right? And look, there is so many films where it doesn't necessarily have to be this perfect fit. I mean, just recently, right, we had that. Oh man, what was that called again? It was a really nice sci-fi film, but it was like, this set that looked like it'd been built out of cardboard. Oh man, we looked at this film a few weeks back. It was geez, my mind is so rubbish, people. Trying to If You Were the Last, right? Now, that was great. That film was so good. And the set was all different. So it doesn't have to be this like incredible thing. But yeah, there was something about this that doesn't draw you in, you know? Doesn't draw you in. A lot of the performances seems a little flat, right? Like it, and you don't want to say it because I'm sure it's not the case, but it just felt like people were just going through the motions, That was the big thing. It was devoid of like energy. That kind of really seemed the thing. It's just flat, right? Like, as I said, you didn't really buy the relationship between John and Zoe. Like, a lot of the relationships between the crew just seemed all over the place, So there was that. And as I said, I was alluding to earlier, right? I think for me, there was a point in this film where I'm like, I bet they're going to do this. Then I was just like, no. I don't even think these cats would do this thing because that's just super, super lazy. And we got to the end, so I thought. And it ends on this point, and I was like, that's a great ending. That's a great ending because you just don't know. And then that wasn't the ending, right? It goes all blank. And then a second later, we get to this next bit. And I was just like, I wish it had ended with the door. I really wish this film would have ended. It wouldn't have fully redeemed the film, but I think it just would have added a little bit of, oh, okay, right? Like in Inception, and people are like, oh, I think it fell. It didn't fall, right? It just gives that ambiguity, which helps. Would have been mad helpful, you know? I mean, even with the end, it's the actual end. It's not a fully conclusive, but it still just doesn't quite do it. You know, like psychological seems to be very hard. There are some films that really nail it, get that balance of reality and distortion, and other films like this, it gets real muddled, and we don't get always the nuance in the performance, which can really help steer a film. So yeah, I don't know if I bought this film. I don't know if I did, but I guess, people, I guess if you're a fan of I'm trying to think of a sci-fi where this one really, oh, I mean, there was that sci-fi film I think it was Stowaway, right? The one with Jennifer Lawrence and Chris Pratt, right? I you know, you could see what they're trying to do and it doesn't quite work. And I think that's the same with this. You can see what they're trying to do doesn't quite work. You know? As it also, it's a bit on the never let go. Completely different films. But you could see what they were trying to do with that, but it didn't quite nail it. And I think that's the same with Slingshot. Even though it, you know, I think Never Let Go probably got it more than Slingshot did, right? But yeah, Slingshot is going to be dropping on VODs from Monday. Is it Monday or is it Tuesday? I think it's Monday. No, sorry, the 5th is Tuesday. Yes. 5th, Tuesday, the 5th of November. So, you'll be able to find it on any of your favorite VODs. All right, people? There you go. Slingshot.